Good morning. I'm John Hodgkiss, Chairman of this committee. Welcome you all to our August meeting. I'd like to have introductions. I'll start off again. John Hodgkiss, representing beautiful Middleton.
Tammy Budd, SRPC, Finance Manager.
Greg Jones, Regional Planner at SRPC.
Mark Ambrosi, Transportation Planner for Stratford Regional.
Laurel Cox, Town of Lee.
Bill Hope, New Hampshire DOT.
Beverly Cray, UNH.
Ed Comeau, representing Brookfield.
Wally Dunham, representing Madrid.
Thank you all for coming on what is sure to be a warm day. Okay? All right, item 2. Everybody has a copy of the agenda, by the way? What you want to do there? Yeah, sure. Come on up.
Thank you.
Gentlemen want to come join us? Come on, it's like there's enough seats. I would remind everyone that we are being recorded. Right? I'd like to start with number 2, staff communications, and I think I'm going to communicate that Cynthia is not here.
All right. So Cynthia gave a call this morning. Her daughter's having her child, so she went out to New York today. That's why she's not at the meeting. So I guess another thing that I'm going to talk about, there's a new item on the agenda. It's the Citizens Forum. This is basically, we're trying something new, a new meeting format, just tweaking it a little bit. This is really in order to ensure that the business of the meeting is completed efficiently and it doesn't spread out into a 2.5-hour meeting. We've having some longer ones recently, and so we just want to keep an eye on that and make sure we're taking care of business and doing that efficiently. So the idea of the Citizens Forum is to provide members of the public an opportunity to voice any comments that they have. We're just doing this in a little bit more structured way, putting it at the end of business comments. We asked them to pertain to the items on the agenda and the items that were discussed during the meeting. Using this timer, Cynthia thought this would be a good idea. We're gonna have a 3-minute countdown for the timer, so people get 3 minutes to make comments. We asked folks that are making comments just to introduce themselves and provide an address so that we can have those documented in the meeting minutes. And so yeah, that's the idea. We're just trying it out, and we'll see how it goes. I'd like to hear any feedback that we can get on it after the meeting. And yeah, I guess my other comment was we do actually have a quorum, so we can take care of the business for action item 3.1.
Okay. 3.1 is a draft of the minutes from the excuse me, the July meeting. Do not have one, it's over there on the table. Take a moment, look it over, and then if it is your pleasure, we'll vote to accept it.
I move the minutes be accepted.
Okay, I have a motion to accept the minutes as read. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion, errors or omissions in the minutes?
There's one small item on page 3, the first full paragraph, the 4th sentence down, that says document needs to, it should be the word be inserted. Be, it's a very small item, but I just want to prove I read the minutes.
Okay. Which paragraph again? I'll note that.
It's the first full, it starts with your name, and the 4th sentence down, and it says document needs to be powerful. You need to add the word be.
Any other errors or omissions? Okay, there are motion on the floor to accept the minutes as amended. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, passes. All right, item number 4, summer data collection. Presentations by a number of interns. Looks like we have probe runs and culvert assessments. Mark?
So guys, you want to hold on for a minute? Greg's actually going first. I'll start out. Greg's actually a full regional planner now. That's a recent change, so that should be changed on the agenda.
Thanks, Mark. Well, first off, I should point out that there's been a few
iterations in the naming convention for this project. It's no longer called probe runs, they're delay counts. We thought that that was a little bit more suitable for the actual project. So basically what the delay count is the planning tool, and it's used to identify regional congestion issues on our major routes. It's done through GPS, and it's basically going to aid our transportation staff to prioritize projects and implement appropriate operational management strategies in the future. It's going to allow us to focus. It's going to allow us to focus and use our transportation enhancement funds more effectively and expand upon existing data collection abilities. So, so basically, we're using a GPS, Garmin Map 76 Navigator, and we are doing prescribed delay counts by route. We're generating a shapefile using the GPS. Once we generate a point shapefile, it's basically got a 3-second. It's a 3-second delay in plotting a point. So as we get into areas of congestion, it'll plot more points, and as we get into areas where there's less congestion, the points will be spread farther apart. Once we get that shapefile, we do a point-to-line conversion using geographic information systems and calculate the geometry for how long it took to get from each point. We're going to work with Dan Camara, who's going to help us to try to put some further engineering skills into this to output a map that's going to show different color scale for different areas of congestion along the route. We've got a bunch of data to collect. We feel like the more data that we can collect, the better. What we're doing right now is we're going to have a standard Monday through Thursday, AM, midday, PM count. We're going to do 5 of those. We're going to do 4 peak time Monday through Thursday counts, where we'll be out on the roadway at 6:30 in the morning till about 8:30 in the morning, and then we'll be out from about 5 till about 7 at night. And then we're going to have a Friday count where it's sort of a luxury count where we'll be out for just the PM times on Fridays, so from about 4 till 6 on Fridays. So that's what we're collecting so far. We think that that should be an adequate amount of information to output some maps that can actually show us something. If you want to flip the slide. Right here is kind of a conglomeration of the counts that we've collected so far. The count on the right is 108, and the count on the left is 125. Those counts represent probably 30 for each route, and we're going to use that data to produce maps that are color scaled to show us where the congestion is along the route. If you want to flip to the next one. This is just an example that I took from, I think it was California where I took this example. So this is what we're looking to output by the time we get done with all our data collection. If you look at the map, the red sections are where there's the most congestion along those routes. The yellow ones are where it's more moderate, and green where there's none. There's no congestion at all. So that kind of just helps you to figure out where the problems are along the routes. And I'm going to flip to the next one. This is basically the average speed count. So we're looking to be able to do this eventually too with the data that we collect. So we'll have something similar that shows where, at least along 108 and 125, since that's what we've collected so far. But the idea would be to do it for all the routes in the state to try to identify where these congestion issues are and prioritize our projects. So that's basically a run of the delay count project, and it's brand new. We're the first planning commission in the state to do it, so we're definitely the guinea pig. So we're trying to iron out the process and the methodology so that it works for everybody. That's it.
Are you able to coordinate this with traffic count and run the tapes, the tubes across?
What we've done is we've used the traffic count data to figure out what the peak times are, so we know when we should be out there on the roadway. So the traffic count data has come in big just to try to help us to get out there when we need to be. So also identifying those routes. Initially, we wanted to get those corridors with the highest commuter volumes during these times, so that are just the highest volumes in general, so that we're really identifying the most important routes in the region and doing those first before
And so, like I said, this is brand new. We started it 2 months ago, so we're in the midst of trying to figure out how to do this the best way, and I think we're on the right track right now.
Is this the same system the iPhone is using? Because it looks exactly the same.
The gifts that I took here very well could have been taken from the iPhone, but what we're using is geographic information systems. It's a little bit more detailed. We think that we can get,
Do you know
counts.
what system they use? And
Do you have any idea what iPhone uses for?
iPhone, I know that the Google Maps, they actually, or Google, they anonymously solicit GPS data from random phones.
Right.
I don't know what kind of information they get other than location. And you'll see that on the Google Maps when you're trying to find travel times. They give you the live updates of the travel times, and that's actually basically a live feed from a sampling of random phones along those corridors to get those images. Now, that's one thing that. One of the reasons we're using GPS is you can actually buy data sets, I think, and buy access to some of these pieces of information, but we wanted this to be, something that's completely contained. It's not invading anybody else's information. All we're doing is basically sticking the reason it's called a probe run. We have a probe within the normal flow of traffic, and they go with the flow of traffic, safely within the flow of traffic. So flow of traffic is 85 miles an hour. Obviously, we're not doing that. We're safe with the roadway, but trying to stick with the average speed that people are actually going on the roadway. Yeah, that's basically the process that we've been using.
So,
thank you.
Rose?
what would be better?
Thank you.
All right. So great.
I'm Nick, and this is Zach, and we're summer field interns with Stratford Regional Planning Commission this summer. We're going to talk to you about what we've been doing in regards to culvert inventories this past summer. Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah. All right. The necessity of this project is from the increased frequency of storm events within the past few years. And the fact that a lot of the culverts are outdated and really can't handle the amount of water that are flowing through them.
So basically we're looking to collect a kind of a town-wide database for all culverts on public roads, and more precise and updated information for towns, whether that be used in capital improvements plan, hazard mitigation, or for towns just to have a GIS shapefile to access the various attributes we collect while we're out there. So basically the ultimate goal is to provide towns with this information needed so there's a reduced amount of washouts, culvert failures, if it needs to be that culverts are repaired or replaced. So here's an example of kind of what we see. There's all kinds of stuff. The one in the upper right there, or upper left, is kind of a good example of a healthy culvert, if you will, adequately sized for average daily flow. Can certainly handle large storm events, whatnot. Middle one is probably on its way out, but can handle flow a little bit clogged up. As you can see, there's probably a tire that's going to end up in there. And the last one is probably one of the poorer ones we've seen, in which the whole culvert is deteriorating, falling apart, rusted. In this case, it's kind of bent up and very plugged up with all kinds of debris.
So when we're out in the field, we use quite a bit of equipment. We use a depth rod to get the water depth both inside and outside the culvert, and to get the dimensions of the culvert. We use a laser rangefinder to find the bank flow widths along the stream, and also the length through the stream, so we have that on file. Digital camera, so we can take pictures for both DES to verify our data, and for us to have on file for reports that we create for towns. We use waders because we're in the water, and a laser level to measure the slope of the culvert so we can eventually map the stream flow.
So while we're out there, we collect all kinds of information. So it's kind of like a quick sample of what we get. Anything from the typical things, which is size, shape, material it's made out of, to do a little bit more tricky things like flow conditions, grade, bank flow widths, sediment deposit types, the angle of approach, whether it be straight, angled. And while we're out there, we do keep an eye out for various animals, vegetation, which would ultimately help fish and game and any kind of endeavors they're taking with a specific stream or culvert crossing.
So after we've collected the data, we want to get the data out there to the towns and organizations that are going to use it. One of the ways we do this is through the DES database. They're the ones that actually create the field data sheet that we use, and we take all that information, put it in that, and they verify our data, and it's on file for them to use. We created a GIS shapefile for the towns to have on file. We actually also use GIS for before we go out in the field to locate possible culverts where where the stream layer and the roads layer intersect. There's a high probability of a culvert. It's going to be there. So when we go out to the field, we'll survey that, come back, and enter in some basic information such as type and material and coordinates into the GIS for the towns to have, and we send them the shapefile. And we're also in the process of creating culvert reports for the towns to have with the same basic information that is in the GIS file.
So far we've completed Northwood, Lee, and we're just finishing up New Durham. So in addition to last summer, we managed to get through, let's see, Barrington, Somersworth, Rollinsford, and Madbury. So with those, I guess 7 there, we've chipped away at the list, but there's still quite a few towns to go.
And going forward, what we'd like to do is collect all this information for all 18 communities within our region. So we have a region-wide inventory of the culverts, so we can avoid culvert washouts and road failure in the region. And that's it. Thanks, and Greg actually has an update on.
Yeah, just to expand on what they're saying. They collected a bunch of this information last year, and what we did over the wintertime was create some publisher reports for the towns based on the information that they collected for the summer last year. And I actually started the public outreach initiative for that project and met with the town of Barrington's town administrator, their new planner, and the road agent, and we went through the publisher document that we completed over the winter, and we actually got some really positive feedback. Their road agent is going to go through that report and helping you to prioritize the culverts so that we can make an appendix to that published report so they can have a running tally of the culverts that need to be replaced sooner. We're going to have sort of a short-term, an intermediate, and a long-range appendix for each culvert. And in addition, they're going to go through and identify the ones that are state culverts so they can kind of keep an eye on the state's infrastructure, just to make sure that there's no more road washouts, and that's basically it. So it's it's so far so good, and I'm going to be reaching out to all the other towns in the coming future. Yes.
Are you ready to do Lee?
Are we ready to do Lee?
We did Lee this first.
Yeah, we do have Lee actually. Yeah.
Have you met with him yet?
You'll be hearing from me soon.
Assuming you are both college students, are you willing to forego start up the school so that you might finish this project this year?
I just graduated.
Yeah.
Oh, you got time. All right.
Yeah, I'm taking up for London, so it'll be a little hard, but yeah.
We already tried.
It's a tough job.
Yeah, we're gonna go collect actually those tubes in the road you were just talking about, so we're gonna head out and grab those now.
Any other questions before we head out?
Thank you.
I'd just follow up about that. We've been working with DOT on the next thing we'll be talking, or something we'll be talking about a little bit later. And I guess one of DOT's goals that they expressed was basically to get their own version of the Granite Viewer, which is New Hampshire's online GIS system that you can put data layers onto to do investigation about, are there wetlands here? Are there, these different attributes here? DOT is trying to do a similar thing for road attributes, and there are 3 other regional planning commissions following our model, and we had worked collaboratively with DOT, Fish and Game, DES, and Geological Survey in New Hampshire to create this inventory, and I think this is going to be the model for the rest of the state when they start doing this in different regions. And the ultimate goal is really to have a statewide database, so anybody can go on there. It's going to be available on the web, and you can look at the resources that exist in your community and have a better understanding. So it's not just staying with the public works director who's been there for 30 years and is about to retire, and then all that public information that he had with him just disappears. So yeah, really trying to make this data work for everybody for the long term.
I have a question. I'm Rosemary Kernan, and I'm from the Lakes region. I'm a volunteer for the regional, and you stated that the authority you're using is from the DOT, Fish and Games, and what other? The last one, I missed that one.
There's New Hampshire Geological Survey, which I believe is part of DES. But we did work with DES, Department of Environmental Services also.
Oh, okay.
Oh, are they part? Okay, I was just corrected that the Geological Survey is from Department of Resource and Economic Development.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
As one who's feeling old, having survived a couple of 100-year storms already, thank you for keeping track of this. Yeah, no problem. I think we're on to number 5. Mark, long-range transportation plan.
All right, I just wanted to give an update about where we are with our long-range transportation plan. We're in the update process that we had discussed this year, actually, at the last TAC meeting. We're trying to get all the projects together for the long-range transportation plan, and there's a couple of steps that are going along with that, including, sorry, I'm trying to get myself together here.
Actually, could you take a 1-minute break so I can change the battery?
Okay, we're going to take a quick break before this because we're running out of battery on our recorder.
Oh no, I've got one right here. It'll just take me 2 seconds. I'm watching the red light to make sure it doesn't go off. So it had 2 lines when we started it, and then when I started the meeting, it only had 1 line.
I meant to ask those 2 interns, how many snakes did they find?
Oh, they have some pictures of snakes this year. They have, I don't know if
Turtles.
yeah, if the reptiles just like Zach or something, but they every day it seems like they have another story about something in there.
Oh, some of those water snakes are pretty big.
Okay. All set.
All right, we're back.
All right, and we're back live. So long-range transportation plan for the transportation improvement program update that we're also doing right now. We are required to do an air quality analysis and a financial constraint update for our metropolitan transportation plan, which is the long-range plan. So as part of this, we have actually been updating our projects that were on the former long-range transportation plan list. And this is a terrible view, I recognize. I couldn't find a good format to put this in. And so what we're doing, or what we did, I should say, is last spring we went to a number of the community, or all of the communities that we could, that had time to meet with us. We went to all those communities in the state, solicited, or in our region, solicited projects from them. That also included agencies like Coast, District 6, as a Department of DOT. And we included all those new projects on this list. I also went into the state red list directory and pulled out all of the red list bridges that were in our region and added them to this list. And I also pulled out some of the functionally obsolete bridges, which have no actual structural deficiency, but if they're going over the Boston Main Railroad, which is where the Amtrak runs, and they don't, and those bridges aren't. Sorry, I'm having trouble remembering the word here. they aren't up to double stacking freight specifications, which I believe is about 19 or 20 feet, somewhere in there. They're considered functionally obsolete because that is going to prevent New Hampshire from being able to double stack freight. So I added those projects also so that we can keep in mind freight movement within the state and we don't have more impact on our roads with trucks. So all those projects are in these lists. These lists by Thursday are going to be sent out to all communities to verify that these projects are or are not priorities for the communities and whether or not they want them on the long-range plan. And also to provide them an opportunity to amend any of these projects or add any new projects. Now, any new projects that would be added would only be added to the Metro plan as a vision project at this point, which means that there's no funding assigned to them. We're interested in the project and they can be added at a later point when we do an update, a future update to the Metro plan. But we just wanted this list to be comprehensive and allow all the communities to have the projects that they want. So once again, by this Thursday, we plan on having all of these lists out to communities for them to take a look at. And, hopefully we'll hear back in the short term. So I just want to go over how this list looks. What we have here, left-hand column, some comments. The comments, like the one 5 down here, this bridge over Route 4, or US 4 over Main Street in Durham, I think that it actually was widened last year. So any kind of comment like that may not be captured in the DOT data that's available, we would put in there. And so going across, we have the project type. Is it a bridge? Is it a livability improvement? Is it a study? The location of the project, the ownership of the facility. So is it on a state road? Is it a municipally owned bridge? The issues that we've been told about the project. So if it's, again, the third one down here, this future upgrade should allow for double stacking freight. And that's the biggest issue on that one. So communities have an idea. The scope of the project, or the proposed scope of the project. I also tried to include some alternative ideas in here to address the issue in a different way or a less expensive way. So sometimes instead of a road reconstruction, maybe they go in and do a different painting method and change the lane alignments on the road or something like that to solve the same problem. And then also the anticipated funding sources. And right now, this is a little bit up in the air because we had the surface transportation reauthorization just a month or two ago, and we don't quite know what all these categories look like. And specifically, I guess I'm referring to the one that says TE, which is transportation enhancements. We don't know if that's going to be available or what that's going to look like exactly in the future. So I am going to have to write up a rubric for this to allow people to know exactly what these things are, what these abbreviations mean, and that's going to be going out with the document. So that's basically where we are with the long-range plan, and if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to do my best with them.
It's me again.
Yeah.
So the towns are giving the committee permission and the municipalities to reconstruct these bridges. I'm just wondering where you're getting. So I know you're going around to towns, and I know that municipalities, that is a part of permission, and the select board. So all those things carry into having bridges and streets done and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is the,
okay.
So this plan, I guess the time frame for this project list here is 2023 to 2040. So we're really looking out way in the future. And a lot of these, we don't, know they're actually going to be priorities at that time, but we want to start just calling them out now so that we have an idea.
See.
A lot of the projects were put forward by boards of selectmen and communities, planning boards, other groups of local officials, decision makers in communities. Some of the projects, like the red list bridges and things like that that wouldn't necessarily be, if it's on a state road, it's not the community's responsibility. They might not necessarily say, we want this bridge done, but the state, it's a priority for them. So we try to take the view that, first and foremost, we want the community vision for the project list. Then we step back and say, okay, are there regional projects that maybe aren't necessarily the community's top priority, but as a region are something that we want to include as a project on this list because it would benefit the region as a whole. And then take that next step back and say, okay, what are the state priorities for this project? Or for this list, we need to make sure that we're being comprehensive and have a list that really shows all the priorities for this region.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yep.
Ed?
If we don't know, well, first, the Federal Transportation Authorization Act is only for 2014, correct? So how are we choosing what can be done if we don't know how much money we have to spend for a 25-year project?
Well, that's, what it states in the Federal Highways literature, or I think it's 23 CFR 450 something, I think is the Code of Federal Regulations that it's stated in about this plan is we use the latest planning assumptions. So whatever that is at the time, a year ago, the latest planning assumption was that we were going to have a 30% reduction in the federal funds that we're receiving. And today, the latest planning assumption is that, well, we're going to continue going at current levels because of the reauthorization at current levels. That is an issue going out ahead, and I have some questions about that I'm going to be posing with DOT and the other metropolitan planning organization, Federal Highways, at our next interagency conference call, which is coming up next Thursday, about that exactly. What exactly are our funding assumptions? Well, we don't have any New Hampshire revenue to match. What is our assumption for in the future for this matching funds? What are the turnpike expectations? Do we expect traffic to increase and us to generate more revenue? Are they going to raise the tolls? There's a lot of there are a lot of things right now that are not certain, but we need to get these latest planning assumptions, and we do the best we can. It's long term, so we recognize that we can't be right on the money with these assumptions, but we're going to do the best we can to start approximating now, so as we get closer, we can really narrow in on what the actual assumptions are. All right.
Thank you. I go on to 5.2, Transportation Improvement Program Visualization.
All right. So, I want to give folks just a little idea of what type of visualizations we hope to be doing, and we're going to hopefully be doing this with the projects in the Metropolitan Transportation Plan and the project portfolio also. Is basically plotting out the projects on Google Earth, creating a layer that anybody can download. We'll have it available on our website. With the latest project information, we're going to have a date on it so that people understand it's only good until this date, because things do change through amendments and minor revisions and such. But just to give you an idea, this is Google Earth. Back up here. I can't figure out how to back up right now on Google Earth without the full mouse, but to give you an idea, we plotted a few of the projects here. This project here, if you click on it, it's the Durham to Newmarket Bike Lanes project, the bike shoulders. It's going to come up, it's going to tell you which projects are included in this, and so this project is really one big project called 13080. There's two phases, additional phases to it, which is A and B, so it's sections of each part. And basically you're going to see these polygons or points or whatever it is on the map and be able to click on it and get some project information. Now for the tip, we're really trying to get the funding information on there too, so that the schedule for the project, the funding assumptions that are associated with the project are there also, so people can go in and see exactly what projects are happening and have an understanding of what that looks like, or what they look like. I'm having trouble clicking on that one. Oh, okay. And so here's just another example. This is a bridge over Bunker Creek, Red List Bridge, and just to give people an idea of where the projects are. You can zoom into these projects, get an aerial, exactly the project location. Maybe if something's scheduled to happen, on your work route, you can avoid going through the construction area or anything like that. So we're just trying to provide more information in a visual way that is more helpful to people instead of just a big list with descriptions on it. So that's where we're going with the tip. And just to give an update on the progress, the lists are still up to date as with the latest information that we have for the projects. I've cracked into the document a little bit to start updating the language in the document, the dates in the document, get the latest information in there. Financial constraint, again, I'm coming up with a list of questions certainly right now that I have for our assumptions. I think that's really important. And I hope to be talking to DOT about that coming up next week. So things are going pretty well.
What's the moat?
I'm sorry?
Right there? It says moat something, moat stand down.
Moats Island?
Moat Island?
No.
Is that just a location?
I think that's just a location on the map. Sorry, it's some of the labels. There we go. So, yeah, you can do quite a bit of adjustment on the Google Earth maps, and it's nice because it also works with our GIS system. Yeah.
Mark, a couple of times you said you can see this. I think you're referring to the website. You can go on the website and see this.
Yeah, it's not up there yet. We haven't quite finished with it yet.
That's where it's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be on the website, on the, I think it's called the TIP page, but it should be Transportation Improvement Program page. And we will have it available on there for download. We'll probably have it on the front page too, just a little notice to let people know that the new project list is available for the 2013 through 16.
Thank you.
Mr.
Yes,
Chairman.
another question? Yes.
Who added the project for the bike routes? I mean, who decides to put a project on the tip?
It's really a long process. Ultimately, it goes, through the GASSET process we had last fall. It's the GovernmentOversite.com on Intermodal Transportation. So it's a group of 5 representatives from the state. It begins with them going around to their districts, having meetings, or 27 meetings with in different areas of the state, with quite a few of the communities that were open to the public. This was to get feedback on the DOT's proposed tenure list, their draft tenure list. So they had all these meetings. They had a number of meetings with just the counselors, and the public was also invited to those meetings where they made some adjustments to the 10-year plan project list. They made a recommendation for that to go to the New Hampshire legislature. The legislature made a few changes to the list. Then it goes to the governor to be signed. And basically the first 4 years of the 10-year plan is the tip. And it's kind of how it works in New Hampshire. It's a system that we've set up. The tip is required by the federal government for metropolitan planning organizations, which we are, to basically show that you have the funding available. But for that project specifically, actually began as a DOT project. I think the matching funds were provided by District 6, and this was back in '98, I believe, and it started out being a bike shoulders project. It's taken a really long time, and it's become much more than just bike shoulders. 108, I don't know if anybody's driven this stretch here of 108, I'm sure most people have. It's pretty narrow. The road's in pretty tough shape now because the district has been holding off on doing any major fixes because they've been anticipating this project. So, there's 4 inches to 8 inches of shoulder on the road total, and a lot of those are crumbling away at this point. There's, there have been a number of flooding issues on the road every time we get a major storm event. There's sections in the middle of it that are kind of low and in an estuary area, I think, and it comes right over the road, and it really undermines and deteriorates the road. So they saw the need to widen the road to make it safer for everybody, because there's also 19,000 cars a day going on this road, which is a lot of cars for this road. It's one of the primary commuter routes in our region. And they recognize that, we really need to do more than just put some shoulders on. We need to do some grade changes. The drainage needs to be improved. There's a lot of things that need to happen with this road. And, one of the most important things about this road, it's one of the only routes south of the Great Bay to get around Portsmouth and other points south. So if anything happens on the Newington-Dover Bridge, on Route 16, on 236, that's going to take a lot of the pressure from the traffic from any kind of incident, any kind of long-term incident especially.
How long ago was it put on the list?
This
been
was
a long time.
1998.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
So.
And it comes up and then it's put aside, and then it continues to be reevaluated, and it still became an important project.
And we actually had a discussion with the project manager last week, and we called it actually apologizing because it's taken so long. Apparently it's had 20 different design people over, the 16 years it's been on the list, 4 project managers, and it's kind of snowballed with the project scope getting a little bigger because they recognized all these deficiencies that really needed to be addressed, but also just a lack of consistency, because there's been a lot of staffing changes, a lot of just changes in general at DOT over this time. So keeping that project information up to date, and when a new project manager comes on board, it takes them a while to get back into it, which they're all, we recognize that those kinds of things happen, but we're really looking forward to this project being done in this time frame, in this type of time frame.
Thank you.
Just a quick question.
Oh.
Are you going to let the local planning boards and planning departments know about this? Because I'll mention it at the planning board meeting, but I think it'd be really good to make note of it so that, like in Northwood, the town planner would make an announcement at the meeting that this is available.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
very
absolutely.
Useful.
About the layer. And I should also say, I've been requesting a public meeting with the project manager and for this specific project, and he's, I think they were out on the road actually last week getting ready for this project meeting. He is going to be presenting to the communities in the near future, so really looking forward to getting the public back involved in this project. It's been way too long. All right.
Next item.
The next item up here. Our other intern, Katie, isn't here today. She's at Ultra Geothermal, I think doing some kind of work related to her education. She's going to school for civil engineering. So I'm just going to do a brief presentation about what she's been up to this summer, along with helping Greg with the delay runs on 125 and 108. So we've been starting this initiative to start collecting sidewalk data for communities also. And one of Katie's main projects this summer was developing that methodology for these sidewalk projects. We had her looking into studies that they've done in a lot of different regions. I think Duluth, Minnesota had an award-winning study this past year. UNH's Technology Transfer Center did a really great study last year in Concord. They've been working closely with DOT to begin developing again, the statewide methodology, and again, this will be added as one of those layers to this DOT web-based GIS system that they hope to get going in the future. And so we've been working with the Technology Transfer Center, DOT, and Katie has basically written up a report at this point about the methodology that we've decided upon. We're going to be meeting with DOT and the Technology Transfer Center again next week. But already Katie's in the field kind of going out and testing this out. All right, so why are we doing this? Sidewalks, obviously, they take maintenance. They have issues in a lot of places. A lot of places don't know, a lot of communities don't necessarily have a layer of their sidewalks. They don't necessarily know the condition of their sidewalks. They don't know if they're ADA compliant or not. And there's a lot of things that we need to keep track of. Sidewalk connectivity. Does the sidewalk just end in some spot, and maybe if you added a little bit, connect two different sidewalk networks together? And these are the things we're trying to understand. And so these, the severe cracking and concrete spalling, these are two of the issues that I'm sure everybody's seen. Trying to just note them, address, or so that communities can address them in the future if they want to. Some of the other things we're looking for, obstructions. I think we've all seen a telephone pole in the middle of a sidewalk, or there's a lot of places that are tough, but obviously you couldn't get a wheelchair down that sidewalk very easily, and that would be the end of the line for somebody who had some kind of disability like that.
Is that in the region?
Oh no, I think these are just example pictures. I don't know who did that one. That's just amazing to me. Some of the other issues are these vertical level changes, and people with disabilities like vision impairment, some of these, some other things. This is a really tough sidewalk to walk on. In the bottom right over here, it's all over the place. It's really tough again to get a wheelchair over if you're vision impaired. Just trying to navigate something like this where you can't necessarily process all of the different texture variations that you get with the sidewalk can be pretty dangerous, and really keep people off the sidewalks, which is definitely something we're trying to avoid. Another big one is tip downs and ramps at the end of sidewalks. There's I think in the past we didn't necessarily plan for everybody using them, and sidewalks were a great idea, but I think I've seen this actually on 108 going up to Frisbee Hospital. There's a gentleman who's can't get on the sidewalk, so he's in his wheelchair on the road on 108 going up the hill, and it's extremely dangerous. And it's because there's no ramp for him to get on the sidewalk. So there's an 8-inch bump that he has to navigate if he wanted to get up there. So currently, Katie has been out in Newmarket starting to use our methodology, test how it works. Again, the T-squared school at UNH did this in Concord, and our meeting with them was very helpful to identify places that we can make big steps in efficiencies. They had some really good ideas. They had been out there for 4 weeks, kind of streamlining their process. So we had the benefit of that information, and so Katie's gone out and done some field testing and started this process up. And we're really excited about it. In fact, the next meeting I will bring the report that she typed up, because it's done very well. Really looking forward to it. So again, here at the bottom we have an example of a sidewalk nobody would want to walk on. These are both from the same community, and then another one that's in really good shape. So these are the kinds of things we're looking for, so communities can go in and prioritize and understand where they need to make the improvements if they have funding availability.
Just another problem that we've experienced in Newmarket, and it's related to the problem with vertical sidewalks and making sure they're level. What we're finding is over time, as we do an overlay on the roads, 3 or 4 times, all of a sudden the reveal is gone on the sidewalk.
Yep.
It doesn't function as it's supposed to, which is to provide a barrier and safety. So we've had to go out right in front of the school. We've gone out and actually rebuilt the sidewalks because of that problem.
Oh, had to bring them up a level.
Just thought maybe that might help her
Yep.
study to just kind of focus on that, because we have several areas where that's been a problem.
Yeah, and that's something that we are capturing on this sidewalk inventory is, not only these vertical bumps in here along the sidewalk, but actually, you know, the curb height away from the road is another feature that we're looking at. We're looking at any kind of gaps. There are quite a few attributes to this table, and I can send out more information if anybody has would like some.
So you're saying gaps, like where there's a sidewalk up to a point and then there's a missing, I think there's so many. Was this information, how is DOT involved in this?
Well, again, DOT, we spoke with them, or spoke with Bill Watson a couple of weeks ago, and they've been working with the T-squared school at UNH to do that Concord sidewalk inventory. And one of their goals, again, was this web-based system. So we, approached them, let them know that we're interested in doing a sidewalk inventory, or like discussing a sidewalk inventory methodology with them. And they said, great. We actually have the Technology Transfer Center working with us already, and we'd love to have the RPC, input about what other important attributes there are, and hopefully together we can collect something that is going to be beneficial for the whole state. We're going to have a method to do that that's both efficient and something everybody, every region will be able to follow, so that we have consistent data and we don't get 10 different ways of measuring something, or some of the other common problems.
Are you available to help with sidewalk design? Lee doesn't have any sidewalks, but there's a lot of talk about connectivity in the center of town, and it's all state roads.
Yeah, we're absolutely available to talk about sidewalk planning and helping figure out where those locations would be. The design engineering thing, it's a fuzzy line, but we're not allowed to do any engineering, so we can do definitely conceptual
planning
plans.
ideas of where they
absolutely, absolutely.
Is that you?
That's me. Dan would also be involved in that. So, yeah.
I'm trying to give a little bit of a bigger picture. I'm sure Newmarket knows about that long before we ever showed up to take an inventory. But I believe one of the services that the Stratford Regional Planning Commission offers is the ability to help communities to get a rather complete inventory of what's there. Okay? So as a member, this is assisting Newmarket. It's not like we're going to go in and change all the sidewalks, but it's to give them, because they don't have the manpower to do it themselves, give them an idea of where their good and bad sidewalks are. All right? That's pretty accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. And once you have that base level data, now that we can put everything on computers and have some efficiencies with that, a lot easier to update too. If you make any changes and you're only doing 1 or 2 a year, that's pretty easy to maintain. When you have to go in and do a complete overhaul, figure out everything that you have, that takes a lot of time. So, down the road, it's really to help create efficiencies and provide more information to the public, to the people, to make better decisions with funding.
I wanted to just comment in Newmarket that 2 years ago we did set up a capital reserve fund for sidewalk improvements, specifically for sidewalk improvements, but because of budgetary cuts, we didn't fund it. We have the capital reserve account already set up and ready to go, but no money in it. And this kind of information will be helpful to us. What we try to do in Newmarket every year is we do one sidewalk project, and with our public works crews, we're able to do it. They do a great job. We don't have to go out to, we go out to bid on the materials, but we don't have to hire an engineer and go through that whole process as you would with a DOT project.
Yep.
And it's been very efficient. They're able to spend, July and August and do one project every year. And right now they're doing Durrell Woods area, up in Bennett Way, to help make that connection.
Yep.
We hope that, as the economy improves and our budget situation improves, we'll be able to start that fund so that we can, on an ongoing basis, keep the sidewalks up to grade. And this kind of information is very, very helpful and useful to us. And we really appreciate you putting it all together, because then you can see in a snapshot what needs to be done on a town-wide basis.
There was a project in Northwood where, right at our main key intersection in town, and we were supposed to have sidewalks in front of the business. And DOT, I think, was supposed to assist with that, and they decided they didn't want to do it. The developer didn't want to do it, and so there's this gap there now. So having having data where we can actually look at it, we can talk to DOT and say, this is part of our vision for our central part of town, and it looks kind of silly that it's not there. And what can we do about it?
And I really think the budgeting for communities, like you understand that you need to maintain, this is how many miles of sidewalk we have in the community, cost this many man hours usually, or person hours to address the sidewalk maintenance issues in the wintertime, or what have you. New Hampshire municipalities are responsible for clearing sidewalks, and that's one of the big issues with I think DOT, the challenges they have is with federal money, somebody is required to maintain the sidewalks, for liability issues and other reasons like that. But in New Hampshire, it's on the municipalities to maintain these sidewalks, and DOT certainly doesn't have the personnel, just the number of people that you need to go around all the communities and be plowing off sidewalks and everything. So one of the big challenges is who is going to maintain these sidewalks. And that's sometimes the reason why we don't get sidewalks with our road projects.
Right. In Northwood,
not an easy way to agree on that.
In Northwood, it was obviously the town doesn't want to maintain, but at the same time, the planning board and people at our master plan sessions are saying we want sidewalks. So
yeah,
we keep focusing on it, and maybe we'll come up with a way to maintain them. So
well, eventually, these innovative funding mechanisms to get this stuff done. I think everybody's kind of searching for them right now. Is it charging for parking? Is it taking the local option fee on top of the registration fee? How do we do this? And it's a big challenge I think a lot of communities face, and it's a tough decision.
Does any of the inventory include any private property, or is this just public infrastructure?
We try to keep this to public infrastructure, and same with the culverts.
So if anything in the future went from private to public, then you would inventory that also,
yes.
Correct?
Yep. That would be the goal, definitely.
So like in Oregon, where their state water sustainability coalition has made water throughout the state a public communitarian asset, then they inventory it. Is this where we're heading with this inventorying of public assets?
I'm not familiar with the water issue in Oregon at all, so I guess I don't entirely understand. I think that the real goal is to understand the assets that we have to maintain because they are public.
The public access.
Yeah.
Assets.
Yeah, the ones that are owned by communities in the state.
So once the assets are accounted for in inventory, then you can more easily receive federal funds or state funds to do repairs, etc. Correct? Would that information be used for that?
It could be beneficial in writing a convincing grant, I'd say. If you have the data to say that we have these serious issues. I don't know which grant program this would be. I don't know if there's maintenance grants. I don't believe there are. But I think it would be helpful in making your case if you're trying to receive funding. I think it would be also helpful in identifying areas that could use grant funding, and this is the last connection we need in town to make a walkable community. I think that's a big piece for a lot of federal grants. If they're able to complete something, they don't want to have to build the entire network necessarily, but if there's just one last part you need to do, that's something that they're looking to do, they would be willing to fund because the rest of it's already there. You're going to get a lot of benefit from a small investment, or relatively small investment.
I'd invite you to come to Middleton, except we have no sidewalks. Count the footpath from the town hall to the ball field.
There's the recreational trails program in New Hampshire also, so we're always happy to do multi-use paths. Other things that communities need. So,
all right. Are there any other project updates?
Take a quick look here. Oh, I just wanted to give a quick update about the air quality analysis. Dan has been working with Rockingham Planning Commission and our consultant that we've hired to assist us with our transportation model, to put together some validation for New Hampshire, or putting together a conformity determination to basically state what our emissions are expected to be for future years in our according to our transportation model, and also to validate that with federal highways so that they can sign off on it. We're pretty much done with with sending in the documentation that we need to. It's been submitted to New Hampshire DES so that they can do their moves, model runs, and do a statewide budget for air quality pollutants. And yeah, I guess the process is going pretty well. So that's moving right along. And one other thing, the Alliance for Community Transportation recently released or printed a bunch of regional directories for transportation services. So they have, we have one copy here. I think we're going to try to get a bunch more to bring, and, we can distribute those around. But
I have a couple.
Oh, you have a couple copies over there, so maybe we can just pass them around. But this is just basically all the transportation providers in the region, where they operate. So depending on whatever community you're in, you can find your the resources that might help you get to where you need to go.
All right, thank you, Mark. I believe we're up to item 7, other business, either from Mark or committee members.
I have no other business.
Okay.
I just wanted to thank Mark Ambrosi for all of the assistance he provided to the town of Newmarket over the last 2 weeks. We've been able to preserve, if you will, the funding that's available for the bike path shoulder widening project from downtown Newmarket to Newfields, which has been kind of in a state on hold for a couple of years. We have a new town administrator coming to Newmarket, Steve Fournier from Northampton, that was announced at our council meeting. And as soon as he's on board, we want to work with him to bring him up to speed in the project, and hopefully we can move forward and get a renewed commitment, if you will, from the town council. I did want to mention that the town has plans ready to go, Mark, for a new water line that would extend from New Road in Newmarket to the Newfields line. And it's ready to go with all the engineering. So our water and wastewater department has taken on the project in hopes of coordinating it. There might be some cost savings, and we can do both projects at once. So I think the climate is ripe, if you will, for us to move forward. And we thank you for all your assistance. It was really great.
My pleasure.
Yes.
I just want to let you know we just recently received our approvals for our CMAC grants for the GIS, the bus replacement, and the Rochester route. So we're excited about that. Our goal, we'll see if it happens or not, is to begin the Rochester route in January when the spring semester starts. So that's what we're hoping for. It's kind of nice to finally have that approval. It's been a long time coming.
That's great.
Anything else? All right, I believe we're now up to item 8. Anyone not officially on the committee but would like to speak?
You mean citizens forum?
Sure, yes.
I just wanted to define that it was citizens forum.
Did you speak it?
Oh, I'm here because I learned to a meeting today, and I'm working with a group representing Northwood, Nottingham, Stratford, and Barrington. And we've been meeting for 6 or 7 months, looking at the whole transportation situation, which is, for us, pretty much entirely dependent on personal cars and rides, the whole thing. And for us, it seems a no-brainer. It seems very logical to have a bus route from Concord down Route 4. We would be able to then feed in, come to a park and ride, get on the bus and go. For seniors, for people who are just young people who don't have the license yet or don't have the means to own a car, insure a car, for the environment in terms of cutting down on individual cars. And just wondered where that is, what the status of that is. Is that something that we can, what can we do to help that happen? just a bus coming right down Route 4 from Concord.
Just want to say I was at their meeting the other day because I knew they were doing transportation planning for elderly people and people with physical needs, and I just had to put in a plug for bus service. It's an obvious thing for Route 4. These towns are totally surrounding it, so the more plugs the better. So I'm really glad that you're here to say that.
And I'm a resident of Nottingham, and I spent many hours on Route 4 driving back and forth between Nottingham and Concord. I worked for the state for about 12 years. And absolutely correct that that's something that's needed. And I know that it's becoming more and more a problem with congestion. It used to take me 35 minutes to get to Concord from Nottingham. Now it's more like 45, and that's on a good day.
Depending on the time of day.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good day when you don't have traffic. And I can see that there's increasing traffic congestion. And I really think that there should be some attention given to Route 4. I know that it's been controversial in years past when they were looking at 3 different alternatives for improving access. But I think absolutely I support your efforts and applaud you for working with some local folks to get something going.
I'd love to get your group's contact information after the meeting, to be able to just show up and talk to you a little bit about that. But I will say that project is on our long-range plan, and I know last year UNH was considering a route down Route 4 that would also to their new campus in Concord, that would also connect to their campus in Manchester, and then back up, I believe, on 25. But that's kind of on the back burner for right now, but that is a big goal, and I think that with all of the right-of-way issues, we're not really going to be able to expand Route 4 very much. It's not going to be an easy thing to do, so finding different ways to move more people and get some of the vehicles off the road is a great way to make it safer. We're definitely in support of a project like that. So.
What is the name of your group?
we don't have a name yet. We're still working on that.
Some of the possibilities are, what were the last 2 you agreed on?
We're looking at
neighbor favors,
willing wheels, neighbor, but we don't have a name yet. Just a group of concerned citizens from the 4 towns that are working on it. But we will have a name fairly soon.
Your name was?
I'm Reverend Carolyn Clark from Stratford.
Where do you usually meet?
We usually meet at the Northwood Congregational Church, right beside Cole Brown.
Thank you for coming.
But for us, I mean, you have to visualize, or we have to drive. We don't have sidewalks in Stratford either. But to drive anywhere we need to go. We don't have grocery stores. Just groceries, picking up the medication, things like that. But if we could drive the 6 miles to Route 4, we have access to the train in Dover, we have access to buses, we have access to the airplane, hopefully to Manchester. I mean, it would make such a tremendous difference for all of those times.
Have you had a chance to speak with anybody from the Alliance for Community Transportation or ACT? I know that
Jeff Donald is working with us.
Okay, great.
Yeah, he was there the other day.
Yeah, he meets with us.
Yeah, so we made it clear to him that was important. So he was there to talk about the other plans, but we talked about broadening it. Don't focus so much on this local volunteer effort that you sort of lose sight of a possible future bigger plan.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you for coming.
And we're working with Lamprey Health too.
Okay,
We're trying to find out what's there and not reinvent the wheel. Advocating for what we need.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that Lamprey runs out of Barrington right now, and
it's serving Stratford now too.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Serving all 4 of those towns.
Fantastic. That's great. So yeah, we're trying to move in that direction to make sure that everybody can get around. It's a big challenge. It is a big challenge, but I think it's great when folks get together and start working on it. We're definitely willing to help.
We thought that if we over time demonstrated a demand for it, that would help a lot.
A comment that defies explanation. I think we'd all agree we're under a rather sluggish economy, yet there's more traffic than ever. How is that possible? But it is.
It's true.
And certainly Route 4 is right in the middle of more and more traffic.
A lot of tourists.
I was going to say, people aren't traveling to exotic places.
They're
They're
traveling
traveling
around,
to New Hampshire for their summer vacations.
Route 4, it's work related.
It's all of it.
Because if you go in the commuting hours, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Being from Brookfield, we have no sidewalks, no traffic. The
Tourists?
worst thing that happened to me lately was my neighbor's pigs got out. And that's all that happens up there. But we did notice this. We actually like the winter better than the summer because we don't like all the people. That's just how we are. Now, doesn't this traffic usually die down after the season ends, or even in the wintertime it's crowded on those roads?
The tourist traffic does, but it's a main commuting
thing on Route 4.
including for state reps that are trying to go back and forth and get there on
Last day
time.
employees too.
So that
you know,
goes east to
DOT.
west.
Yeah, it's really the only
This area.
east-west highway besides 101, so in the southern part of the states.
Your neighbor get the pigs back?
Yeah, I had to bring them back.
Oh.
That's no easy job.
All right, is there anything else for the good of the committee? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved. Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? All right, thank you very much for coming.
Hey, Mark,
Go enjoy the heat.
Mark, what's Katie's last name?